But yeah, I did all kinds of weird stuff out there, man. I mean, they filmed America's Most Wanted episodes out there. So like some of the first jobs I did were like those reenactments, you know, like kids finding their parents murdered. Like,
welcome to Story and Craft. Now, here's your host, Mark Preston.
All right, here we go. Back again, another episode of Story and Craft. Thank you for stopping back by. Good to have you again. And if this is your first time coming to check out the show, welcome. Glad to have you here. Good episode to check out today. Sitting down with actor Chris Marquette. He has been on the scene for a long time, all the way back to when he was a child actor to, I think, the first thing I remember seeing him in. It was the 2004 movie The Girl Next Door with Alicia Cuthbert and Timothy Olyphant and Emile Hirsch. Fun movie. Had a cool career doing all kinds of different type projects. Now doing the action-adventure thing, season 4 of Reacher on Prime Video, along with Alan Ritchson. Cool show. I think I'm still working on season 3. And Chris is just a cool dude. Really enjoyed sitting down with him. A nice guy, but just kind of a good dude. Somebody that I would like to sit down and have a beer with. That is Chris Marquette, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. Do me a favor, if you would. I always ask a small favor to make sure to follow Story and Craft on your podcast app. Make sure to follow, like the episode, leave a comment if you so desire. That way it helps folks to find Story and Craft, and doggone it, I appreciate it. Also, storyandcraftpod.com, the website, past guests, past episodes, everything you want to know about the show, it is right there. And of course, you can send me a message if you so desire, and I love hearing from you. All right, so hey, let's do this. Let's get into the show, because this is a fun conversation. Let's jump into it, because today is Chris Marquette Day, right here on Story and Craft. Where are you joining me from today?
I am all the way on the west coast of Ireland, man. Isn't that wild?
You're on the... No kidding. Really?
That is where I am, yeah.
Wait, is that home base for you, or is that just kind of where you're at for a project, or?
No, it's now home base. I go back and forth between Ireland and Los Angeles, where I grew up and where I lived for a long, long time.
That is awesome. I love, I've always thought about going to Ireland. I just
have you?
did I did the ancestry thing, and discovered I was 1/4 Scottish. And so I started doing this deep dive, and I realized, I could actually track my family lineage back to, I think, the 1500s or something like that. I'm very intrigued by that part of the world.
Scotland and Ireland got around, man. They, excuse me, they bred really feverishly, and they traveled, man. So yeah, I think there's quite a lot of Scottish and Irish roots all over the world, but particularly the U.S. And I mean, Ireland has there's a cliche here of Americans that come over looking for their, great grandparents, and their ancestry, and finding it, and like actually finding it. So it's not like an extraordinarily difficult.
I was telling my daughter the other day, she studied in Europe for the last fall semester. And I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool, just all the rolling green. I forgot where she went, wherever it was, she saw some of was the Highland cows or whatever, this long haired, whatever cow. And I was like,
yeah.
And so the picture's like, that's
Star Wars character cows.
Exactly. Yeah. Star Wars cows. You'd be able to look out and see just kind of rolling green, always kind of entranced me at some level, So, but now, how did you end up over there? Was there some kind of lineage you were attaching to, or you married somebody from there, or you just love the idea of being there?
Exactly. And it is, to speak to what you just said, and what your daughter experienced, it is like it's like a portrait postcard, everywhere you look in this part of the world. It's just Stonewall farms. And I haven't seen long-haired cows, but tons of cows and so many farm animals. It's just farms. It's beautiful little farms, like all over the place. And no, I have got no Irish ancestry. I come from like poor white trash and immigrants. So from a different place, from Cuba and European, other parts of Europe. No, I am here. My ex-wife is from Ireland, and we I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she was born here. And we split up years ago, and we decided to. She was really tiny. We decided to come raise her here, and it was a big, wild decision to make. My family back home is what you call a dumpster fire. Her family's lovely and amazing. And so it wasn't the hardest thing to do for my daughter's life. And she's thriving here.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, because I I'm not going to point fingers or say anything, but I identify, except you got to be careful when you marry. Sometimes you marry, the thing you're trying to move away from, you're accidentally moving towards. And so you might end up in another fire, and you didn't know that. Different family of raccoons hanging out, I guess. I don't know.
You mean psychology is correct in thinking that like we're just trying to date our parents, in some fashion?
I guess.
Familiar. Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I could totally get behind, finding.
I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny, depending on who's listening
fair,
right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll confirm it, Mark. I'll confirm it. 1,000%.
But that's wonderful, though. You being able to be in a place that is not familiar inherently. I've still got that wanderlust thing going on. And after about 3 years of being in a place, I'm like,
the globe is tiny these days. Earth is actually really small, man. Like it's, it's like I think getting around is if you carve out the time and obviously have the means, like I say, do it. You're in Dallas, Texas. That's I'm
originally from there, but I live on South Padre Island, which is in the very south, the tip of South Texas. It's a lot of people know it as a spring break destination, but it's actually where they they got this SpaceX Starship thing takes off like 6 miles south of me.
Gotcha.
Which is another thing, like how small we have a planet we live on. That thing takes off, and I think it's in the Indian Ocean in like under an hour or something like that. Yeah. It's like, yeah, we do live in a small place. You're right.
We're tiny, man. I read this, and to speak to that weird thing is a weird side tangent. I read this great book Bill Bryson wrote called a Short History of Nearly Everything. And he points out in it that not only is we in this tiny planet, but there's actually like this thin layer of atmosphere, this little piece of crust at the top. And like everything that has ever happened in the history of humanity that we have written down, we understand it, has all existed in this like little thin layer in this gigantic, unfathomably big cosmos. And come to Ireland, Mark. I'll give you a tour if you want.
I would love to do that. I'm a big food guy. So wherever I go, I got to be and you think Ireland.
I don't know if you think of food.
Exactly. Although we do have a little of all things here on the island, we have an Irish pub, and they do the Scotch eggs.
They're everywhere.
The fishing. No, it's just
they're everywhere.
Dude, I'm on. I'm doing the statin, man. I can hit some cholesterol. It's cool. I got a little defense.
I mean, yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, I think I wonder if they take the cake for high cholesterol. I'm sure. I mean, there's like the grocery stores here. There's an entire aisle just dedicated to pork. It's not like the meat aisle like you find in the United States. Where there's like, where you've got like turkey and chicken and steak and pork and lamb. Maybe it's literally just one whole thing of pork and then another aisle of the meats. So like, they're into that.
The aisle of pork. They got the Isle of Man over there. The Isle of Pork. No,
it's the Emerald Isle or the Isle of Pork. Yeah, Ireland's gonna throw me out after this.
No, where did you grow up though? Where was your home base?
I'm from all over, and weirdly, I thought if you were in Dallas, I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up, but I spent a portion of my young life in Plano, Texas. It's actually where I started.
Oh, I grew up in Richardson.
Okay.
So you were, let's see, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together. So you were young. Young. When you were young, I'm trying to think when they're producing Barney up there. Barney and
that was one of my first jobs, man.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. So wait, you and Selena Gomez.
That was literally one of my first jobs.
Wait, Selena Gomez did that, didn't she?
I don't know. I actually have no idea.
Barney was like this random thing. By the way, right now it's total side tangent, but I found somewhere somebody, with AI and all that, they're overdubbing like Barney episodes and kind of definitely not PG-13. It's pretty funny, but Barney was a big thing for a while. This is going back to early 90s, I guess, is probably when it was. So yeah,
that's probably, it was late 80s, I think. Yeah, if I do the math right, late 80s when I did or early 90s. Yeah, it was books on tape sorry, not books on tape. It was a cassette. It was a VHS tapes that you could send away for.
That's right. That's right. Like,
so you could you see one of those infomercials, and then you could order a set of tapes. And before it was like a televised.
Oh my God, you just brought back a memory. I do remember seeing that before Barney, I guess, was a show. You could actually, that's right, because they had all these different. I'm sorry, I'm like, it was like you just brought back this odd memory,
Oh yeah, yeah. I hope it was a gentle one. The like the yeah, it was it was like I think like an educational tool that they were doing, and I don't know how. I mean, I know how I kind of started acting, how I got involved with that thing. I don't know how that exact thing kind of unfolded, getting into Barney. But yeah, I did all kinds of weird stuff out there, man. I mean, they filmed America's Most Wanted episodes out there. So like some of the first jobs I did were like those reenactments, like kids finding their parents murdered, and like all. So they and like weird commercials and tons of modeling and stuff. So.
Oh yeah,
but
what is
yeah.
that? Was that where you originally? Is that where you're originally from, or did you come to Plano to do all that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a lot to unpack, Mark. So you got to tell me
you're
the short answer. Yeah. I'll give you the quick. Yeah. I was born in Florida, and then I moved to Texas shortly afterwards. My family moved to Texas. We went to Georgia for a very small stint, and then we went to Jersey, and we lived in Jersey for years. I worked in New York for a long time, and then we went out to California in LA and Southern California.
How old were you when you started acting on film or on tape or whatever happened? I almost want to feel like you're like, tell me about the Barney years.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Barney thing. If you want to, this is where it gets a dramatic turn. Let's see. I started when I was 4, like just in preschool, strangely. So professionally, and it was like an extracurricular sport for me and for my family. And I have 2 younger brothers. They were both actors as well. And
okay.
Yeah, so we all did like modeling and acting and singing and whatever weird performing gigs we could find, and we did that. I played soccer, I acted, and then when I was about 9 years old, we went to New Jersey. My family and I auditioned for a play on Broadway, and I got the role. And they told my parents, "Hey, look, if we give this to you, you got to commit to doing this thing for like a year. You can't just come in for a month or 2." So we did, and that was a little pivot point for the endeavor of acting. It became less of a sport and more of like a professional endeavor.
Yeah, but how old were you at that point in time?
I was 9 at that point, but I had been in Texas. I was 4 years old.
I was going to say, is this something your folks were encouraging? Were they down? I mean, at that age, they of course had to be down with it. I
suppose. Yeah, I wonder how. I mean, the story I hear of the genesis of that was that some guy, what my parents told me a long time ago, I haven't asked them this in a long time, but what I remember growing up, the story I heard was that some guy came around to the preschool there, the grade schools, and was holding like seminars. I'm sure this guy's like on a sex offender registry somewhere, but he like came in and he said to all the parents, like, "Hey, I'll make your kids, I'll get them into acting. I'll make them, famous." And you go to these seminars, and then you walk away with headshots and connections and agents.
Oh, yeah.
Do that. Yeah. And so I think a lot of other parents were doing it, and my mom's a pretty dysfunctional human being. I think she just kind of went along with the groupthink and got us into it. And they did. I mean, to their credit, my parents very much encouraged acting because I liked it and like I worked, and so they carved out the time. They put in the focus and energy to it. But it wasn't encouraged as in like, my parents don't do anything like that. And they actually know nothing about the entertainment industry or how to navigate it. And so it was, maybe some parents kind of take young kids and turn them into professional performers when you hear the word encouraged, like in a sort of thoughtful process, maybe. That was not the case for me. I think we just kind of like were dumb. We were just dumb and stumbled in, and like whoever this guy was just got me a headshot, and I started working a bunch.
Well, I'm sure it happened in the early 2000s, like in Atlanta. I'm sure, whenever there's a lot of activity in the industry, there's always these people that show up suddenly with a magic pill, like just do this and you'll get to working. It is.
It's like snake oil salesman.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm sure and they still exist. It's all over the United States, I think, and
now I didn't do like
fast.
tons of like research because I'm not, but I did notice that you did spend some time at the Oakwood in L.A. When you were
Oh
in
man,
Southern
you did
California.
enough research to find that, Mark.
I
That's
don't.
the last thing I thought you'd bring up.
It just stumbled across because I'm always entranced by the idea of that because I've spoken with a few people who've lived there. I can imagine that would be a pretty magical place of all the young Hollywood.
Debauchery.
Well, yeah, because there's God only knows what's going to be going on. You have these talented kids, and you had from what I understand, a fair share of the stage mothers, living there.
It is ripe for prime mental health. Let me tell you, Mark.
Was it positive vibes or was it a cautionary tale? Your Oakwood experience there.
It's both, man. It's so funny. Our conversations immediately devolving into into child actor, like child actor landscape, and the stories from a life like that. Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's for sure cautionary tale, and also just really unique and kind of wonderful in ways too. I think Oakwood. Yeah, Oakwood. For anybody listening that doesn't know what you're referencing is a giant apartment complex in Burbank, California, near like a bunch of the studios, near Universal Studios, when people come into for the amusement park.
But
But
it
also
has a different
like,
name now. I think it's not the Oakwood
it is.
anymore,
It's called Avon or something. Yeah. They really named it. Yeah, and it definitely needed a facelift at some point, and they I'm sure the Oakwood did become synonymous with child actors and actors in general, but mostly child actors. I don't know how they did that. I wonder if they marketed across the United States in a specific way to families who wanted to.
That's what I'm wondering. How did that become the epicenter with so many young actors? I don't know if it's because it's like you said, the proximity to the studios or whatever have you. But speaking with what I say to kids, and they're no longer kids, but who were kids at that time, it's a place that even for a blink of an eye, everybody just kind of passed through, at least for a moment. Now, were you out there with your folks and your two brothers, or was it just you? And
I went out different times and in different ways. And yeah, I remember going out there and like the cast of, like, I think Jennifer Aniston used to chill by the pool, and
really,
and just as Friends was starting. Yeah. So it was like, and I was coming from Jersey, from like a poor middle class place in Jersey. So for me, I was going out to California, and you go by this poolside and, in Hollywood, and it was really idyllic, and you'd see all these actors, hanging out and tanning and running lines and stuff, which is really gross now that I think about it as an adult. But I went out in different ways. I think the first time I went out, there's an actress named Ashley Tisdale, who was a very successful kid actor,
like Disney Channel kid.
Disney Channel. The High School Musical franchise, those movies, and Ashley Tisdale and I knew each other in New York, and our moms knew each other. So we came out and like we would share apartments, like parents from Jersey would go half and half on an apartment, and so you'd stay with your mom in a room, and you come out for pilot season. That was the idea. You come out for like 2 to 3 months, you audition for a bunch of pilots, and you're like trying to win the lottery, and then if you were me, you go home being like wah wah wah, and then trying your luck again next year. But yeah, it's also my two closest friends to this day, also former kid actors. They haven't acted in 20 years, either of them professionally. They do, one of them does something completely different. I met there at Oakwood. We met there, and or at least we hung out there. We met in different places, but that's where we kind of spent a lot of our adolescence and forged our now lifelong friendships.
When did it become kind of go from being like fun or like, I don't want to say an adventure, but it ever transitioned for you into this is a job, and this is, your mindset switches from like, when you were a kid is get to play dress up to, or whatever you want to call it, to, okay, this is a vocation. Did that kind of hit you at a young age, or were you business minded from a young age, I guess you could say?
Mark, 4 different therapists have asked me this question over the course of my life. So I'm just taking a second to think about how I want to respond to it. How open do we want to, where do we want to go with this one? No, I actually, joking aside, yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of like, I just really enjoyed. I've been my whole life, like still to this day, I very much enjoy performing. I like it. It's just something I like to do. I've tried. I don't know if there was a specific time where, I suddenly felt like I needed to be professional and to, maybe when I actually way late. I probably make that decision like way, way late. Because I was fortunate enough to like work a bunch as a teenager and then into my 20s. So I just kind of kept going and going. And to be honest, it took me a long time to realize, oh, this is a job and you are a business filmmaking and film and TV and commercial, this is commerce. It's art. And commerce mixed together.
When did you become cognizant of that? Because you're at the Oakwood, you're hanging out with, y'all are you're the center. You're chilling with Jen, by the pool, and
running lines with Jen Aniston.
Because that's what one does.
That's what one 13-year-old from Jersey does.
Yeah, you're 13. Oh, what an age to be hanging by. Okay, I was about to say, but you're kind of at the center of the universe. Here you are, kid actor, and then when did you start realizing? Okay, there are people, there are investors. You start seeing behind the curtain. When does that kind of happen? Does that reframe the way you look at the industry at that point?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. I mean, for me, I got like a crazy crash course when I was like 22 and 23 because I met the world and I was really, all honestly, I was so naive. I was just really sweetly dumb. My parents still to this day have no concept of the entertainment business and the industry like at all. So I really wasn't prepared or taught or given any context for the business that I was in and the profession I was choosing to be in. And so I got a really harsh lesson. If you want, I honestly got it all in my early 20s. Mostly I got the experience from getting like kicked in the face a lot, just being met, just going, and that usually came from, I think, a really beautiful place, a place where I would like go perform and audition for something or read a script and go at some opportunity with this very innocent, naive ideology that said, well, hey, I'll give my best performance and like you guys will pick the best actor and the right thing for this and trust in this kind of romantic process of how casting happens and how the audition process happens. And then I would slowly come to find out like, nah, bro, that's just a romantic ideology that actually rarely happens in the way that most actors, I'm sure, would like for it to happen. What actually happens is a business, and that's this. So I learned through that. I learned mostly from being like, wait, why didn't that thing work out? And then sort of going, or finding good opportunity and being like, why am I given this good opportunity? And and finding out why. And so that's kind of, to be honest, that's really was my what do you call it? Trial by fire, and And I'm still learning that. I think, like to this day, I think the entertainment industry is in such a weird, we'll call it transition, in so many ways. And, I think actors and all artists and, or anybody mostly on the creative side of things, writers and directors and actors and producers are really, figuring out how things can get done, how things can come together, and how to get essentially back on a set again to make something. And that process is still changing and it still has to be learned and navigated.
For someone who did have a pretty prolific, their young years were spent on camera. You had that life where a lot of your youth, your young, and it's, on camera, it's on the screen. Do you ever look back and go, it's a general question, what it's like to look back and have your youth documented in a way which most of the population simply doesn't?
Yeah, or desperately would not want to have happen is usually the case for a lot of people's adolescence, I imagine. It's an interesting question or interesting thought you put there. And
to kind of clarify, it's because when people watch it, they're going to frame you like, you're that person I saw in that movie back 20 something years ago. God, that was like a couple lifetimes ago or so much. I wonder if it's that feeling you meet people and you're kind of trapped in amber. You know, you are that person of that era to them forever. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but
It does. No, for sure. That's my experience in life. Like to this day, I still, there's things I worked on 2 decades ago that, people still kindly, bring up and are excited to bring up to me. So, I think it's the same. I mean, I have the same thing, there's like, sometimes I think about it and I think like, I think there's like certain musicians and bands that I listen to and you're like, oh yeah, I don't know if I haven't listened to any of the music they've done in the last 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what their life is or who they are, if they even enjoy music anymore or even play. But if I ran into them and I'd be like, I still listen to that. It still means this thing to me. And so, yeah, I think, being in a little time capsule and part of people's lives is it's a unique experience. It's and it's cool, and then it also like there's hilarious. You ever see this movie called Along Came Polly? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah,
Stiller?
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
And all roads lead back to Jennifer Aniston. Yeah.
Exactly. We're gonna find our way back.
Well, Philip Seymour Hoffman had to leave a party because this is the first time I ever heard the phrase "sharted."
Shart. Yeah. I think they coined it there. If they made it up, great. If they stole it, then the world knew right after that one.
Exactly.
That's the moment everybody remembers. But that character he plays is a former kid actor who's walking around in that movie, sort of being haunted by this role he played as a teenager, where he was like the chubby kid playing bagpipes, and he was like the butt of a joke, of this famous movie, and he was putting a veneer up and smiling every time somebody brought it up to him, but he was really tortured by it because he hadn't really worked since then. And he didn't have the career he imagined he would when he was a young man, but everyone still goes like, hey man, you're that guy with the bagpipes, and it sort of, it like taunts him. And I think there's, there can be a bit of that for actors. There certainly has been for me. And, where you feel a little like, there's like a strange shadow, cast over you by some former work and time goes by. And, and I think there's a really, in my opinion, what I found in my experience was that, you can get really self-absorbed and just sort of insecure and allow that type of experience to feel taunting and to feel really, whatever, to feel taunting. And there's a way to move past that and actually just appreciate the fact that, like, I think it's really rare actually that anybody gets to be a part of something that 20 years later, 30 years later, people still enjoy. It's still a part of them in their life and, in any capacity. So, I've always felt very grateful to have had that experience, but also too, man, to answer maybe your question you're getting at too. I mean, yeah, like, there's some things I did probably as a teenager that like now I'd be like, as an adult or even a young adult, I'd be like, no, I don't want the world to see that, you just do at that time, and I do wonder for like young actors these days, when social media exploded, I remember I looked at my buddies, we were all actors growing up together, and I was like, thank God there was no social media when we were chilling and hanging out. I was like, cause there's like, I was like, dude, what a weird world if you've got no.
But in a way, don't you kind of wish, I wish we had more access to taking pictures, there's some things I'd like to have documented, or even video would be kind of cool. And then look at my kids' generation. It's like literally everything's documented. They can go back and, see now a lot of the stuff I'm relying upon is like memories or a song. You talk about the music, like I'm the same way, like a song will come on, man, you're right back there, and that being late teens, early 20s and getting something captured on film. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's a time like late, your teenage years, early 20s. I mean, you're just becoming an adult and you think you're an adult and you're not. And like, you're going to make all the mistakes in the entire world, guaranteed. I mean, most of us do. I'm sure there's a few you perfect people out there, but, that's not, that's not the best representation of who you will most likely be. Or maybe it is, but like, hopefully it's not always the best representation of, of who you will most likely be for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I love that phrase that said, if you could look back when you're 20 something years old when you were a knucklehead. And you don't realize, you don't see that you were a knucklehead. You're still a knucklehead, but if you look back and like, you ever have that occasional cringe moment, like, oh, I did that. I said that. Oh my God. Like that's nothing bad.
Every day, Mark, every day.
But yeah, that was just the idea that I had as I was walking my dog. I thought, God, what if I had these things captured for all to see for all time? I didn't know if that would be something to be down with, but
Yeah.
now, you said your folks, they're not really keyed into the entertainment industry. What was what is their vocation?
Oh, my dad is a nuclear engineer, and so he works at power plants. He now works for the utilities company for Southern California Edison in Southern California. And if the name didn't explain it. And my mom liked to deal drugs and go to jail. So that was her occupation for the most part. And then raise three, as you put it, knuckleheads. And
I can identify with that. I do have it's what a random
you
connection.
Drug dealer mom too? Come on now.
Well,
really?
It was a father. Yeah. It was.
Nice.
It was. Growing up, one of the few memories I had, I wouldn't even know. I was a tween. I was like, who are these weird people that come by the house? Who are these people? It's like, it's just,
those aren't cousins. Who is that? That's not the mailman.
When you come to that realization, I gather, it's like when you're at that age and you realize, I remember being 11, I have this really specific memory going, these two parental types, I don't think they got the DNA to be the parents like my friends' parents. I see them like they seem like parents, circa 1980 something. Mine, they're on a frequency I don't get. And I'm going, am I kind of on my own to crack the code on this thing? Because as a kid, I think as a kid, you have intuition. So you just inherently know something's just a little bit off.
Something shady.
I think that kind of protects you, helps. I don't know, but there's a lot of different ways you can go. But anyway, so there's
a lot of ways to interpret that experience for sure. And
it's educational.
I was about to say, it's a unique skill set, for someone to have. So I'm sure it taught you a few things. And, and if you've been acting and doing voiceovers for a long time, there's a certain hustle, there's a grind, actors got to have. So maybe it gave you a little bit of that. Who knows?
It was therapy.
It gave me something.
It was therapy fuel. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that gave you therapy bills for the next 40 years is what it did.
But you had your brothers there with you, which is nice. I was an only kid, but I imagine having your brothers there, were they having kind of the same experience growing up you had? Did they reference the same childhood you had? Or is it sort of like, do they frame it differently? I always try to live vicariously through others who had siblings growing up, but was the experience of being a young Rodriguez Marquette was the same thing for you and your brothers?
I think so. I mean, it was a little different for me only in that I worked a lot, like as an actor. So I was really like, I had what I always felt was like my secret life, my sort of 007, so I would we'd come back and we'd do normal things on the weekends and play sports and like go to birthday parties. I go to public schools and do things. And my brothers worked as well, but not as much. And so, and then all of a sudden I would go off and be in these really unpredictably strange, circumstances and new places with new people all the time, shooting some weird thing. And, I have a day where I'm pretending like my back's broken and, I fell down the stairs and then I come home and, my brother's just playing video games, just finished their homework. And so and I would just sort of acclimate and go back and forth and oscillate between these two different environments. And so I think it was a little unique in that, but they worked enough too. They did, and they were auditioning a lot as well, like me. So they knew what I was doing. It wasn't foreign to them, but maybe that's the only thing. But otherwise, no, we've always agreed. We all grew up in a very dysfunctional household.
Well, here's the thing though, when you get older, especially when you reconnect with people, I take it you probably did a lot. You didn't go to regular school, like didn't have the elementary, junior high school thing, but
I did. Yeah, I did have that.
Oh, you did? Were you? So you actually went to regular school. And you weren't just doing the on-set tutoring thing. You actually had the. Oh, yeah. Well, can you look back on like the people you went to school with and go, I think when you grow up in a dysfunctional household, you kind of look at everybody else and go, well, grass is always greener. And then you get a little bit older, then you reconnect, you realize, oh man, they had shit going on also, and it seemed
no, for sure. Cause I went to some rough schools too, man. So like I went to like, my first day in in high school, my first week, some kid was like, "Can I show you something?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Look in my backpack." And I looked down his backpack, and I was like, "Is that a knife?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's like a Rambo knife. That's that thing's like 9 inches long. That's crazy." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay." So I for sure other kids had stuff going on at home as well.
As you kind of progress on, you did kind of go from the doing the kid thing to the girl next door. That's what it was called, the girl next door. Because that's when I think I first you came on my radar. Even though wasn't a big Barney guy,
Yeah,
but no, that
Big Barney was America's Most Wanted reenactment guy. That's I forgive you, man. I actually did tons of voiceovers growing up. I used to do all the cereal commercials, all the jingles and stuff. So for
that's good money too.
Yeah, it was good money. Yeah. And so I do all those things. I grew up in New York there doing all the, anytime there was a kid talking about cereal, it was usually my voice or whatever snack, goldfish and, Kraft mac and cheese, like all that stuff. And so,
that's cool. See, when I was young, I was always like into the theater of the mind. I loved being in the sound booth. I thought that was kind of magical. I don't remember, they say the box office or whatever, but I remember the girl next door was Alicia Cuthbert. Is that her name? Because she was in 24 and that was really hot. And so that got a lot of attention. Was that your transition movie? Like, I'm doing the kid thing now, I'm shifting into grown up stuff, is that?
I think the grown up stuff actually came like 6 years ago, if I'm being totally honest. But it was definitely, that film was for sure a change in my life as an actor. And it was, whatever I worked on prior, that got me attention like nothing had prior. And it was for me, I mean, at the time it felt like the first quote unquote adult role, we're all in high school, so we're children, but
am I remembering right? You were into film, and this is an old memory, but you were you want to be a director when you got out of school.
Yeah. He's like a little arrogant. He's like a little arrogant wannabe filmmaker, and and then helps them make a sex ed video with porn stars, because that's the girl next door. It ends up being this, she dabbled in porn was the idea for like a second. And weirdly though, that movie, what it did for my life was strange. And because that movie did horribly commercially, it bombed. Yeah, it bombed in the box office. It didn't do anything. And it was, but it's a really good film and it was really funny. And, I think Luke Greenfield, that director, did this incredible job making that movie, and the actors are great. Everything's so great. So it was so ripe. Everybody was anticipating, I think, a really big reaction and a lot of success. And then it just bombed. But then within a year or two, it caught on DVD, and then then all the success sort of happened. So it kind of gave me this strange experience in my life where for years and years, I would be treated, at least emotionally, by people in the entertainment industry and movie fans. I would be treated like that film made $100 million in the box office, and I was suddenly like a little comedic movie star, but in all reality, it did almost nothing for me professionally. So I was still very much in the same place and kind of grinding it out with auditions and
really? Okay. There are some movies. I was talking to somebody the other day that sometimes would be like it became a cable hit or a hit at Blockbuster. There are a lot of movies who just took a second life when when people were renting it. So, but when you were coming up, I'm curious, what were you? Because you're in it, you're doing it, but at the same time, you're developing your own taste. What was it? What were the things you were watching on film or TV, or the actors that were like, God, this is my jam. This is kind of where I'd like to see myself go, or this is why I'm personally entertained. What were those things for you?
I mean, I became very unhealthily obsessed with Ed Norton as like a 20-year-old. And in a really pretentious, dumb little young actor way, I think, which is just like he was like, he was like peak Ed Norton when I was that age, and doing the coolest work ever. And he wasn't one of the quote unquote old school actors. He wasn't, De Niro and Brando. He was just like, he was a new guy on the scene, and he was doing this extraordinary work. So I became really obsessed with that. But I honestly, like I said, like I was really naive to it. Like I wasn't taught by my parents or really anybody else about the industry or even movies in general. So when I was like 16, I went off and shot a movie, and some guy from this like actor's assistant was this young dude around, a few years older than me. And he would say like, oh, it's like that scene in Taxi Driver and blah, blah. And I'd be like, what? And he was like, you never saw, you never saw Taxi Driver? I was like, what is Taxi? I had no idea what anything was. And I remember that guy in particular, he would show me a few movies, and that's kind of became my education, is occasionally anything somebody mentioned to me, even in passing, if someone was in conversation, I would immediately go find it. I'd go find it and watch. And anything that anyone talked about that sounded good or great. And I just learned by that. And then if I found one actor that I thought was really good, I legit in a weird, a super intense, obsessive way, I would go buy all of their films and I would watch all of them. And then eventually filmmakers, and then go watch really good filmmakers, other movies. And that's kind of what
that's kind of the way I am now. It's like I'll see something and you put in an actor. It's like, in Roku, all their stuff pops up. I'm like, I'm going to check out their other stuff. But yeah, Ed Norton,
nice.
It's like that movie I remember seeing him in. Was it Primal Fear? Was that what it was?
Primal Fear.
Yeah. That was like, that was wild. I was like, this guy is like on a different level. Now I watch him or listen to him in interviews talking about investments. I'm like, this guy's way too intelligent. He's like, he's got the right left brain.
What he's doing acting. Every now and then I think that, I was like, what are you doing acting, buddy? Like, what are you doing acting? You got to go. Like, I'm sure you can do a lot for the world. What are you doing with that brain acting?
Well, so if you were to say, like, your daughter's 6 now, like, what does she reference you as? Does she seen you on TV or in film, or does she just like your dad?
No, she has no idea. And actually, I have this show coming out, and last year it was the first time she got to come visit me on set and actually see what I do, which was for me a really beautiful experience and an extraordinary experience. But otherwise, she has no clue. I've actually showed her. I found a couple things I did as a kid. There's a couple kid movies I would just show her like a picture of, from like the internet. I have yet to show her like a full thing, mostly because everything I did she can't watch till she's much older. But she really has no idea. It's really strange, and I worry about it because I'm like, she just thinks her daddy's a bum, like I'm just like at home. I'm like, oh, I'm running line. Like she doesn't know what I'm doing, and she's just like, who's this guy who's always in the living room, and so I actually kind of try to make effort to be, like if I made a self tape, or I just recently this job I got is this show Reacher that's coming out, and they released a trailer, and so I got to like show her a bit of the trailer and say like, hey, look, who's that handsome guy on screen? Look at that guy, and she's like, that's my, so that's that's kind of how I expose her to it.
Yeah, the way my kids grew up, they are like used to either hearing me on things or occasionally seeing me do some stuff. My youngest is the most unaffected. She's like, just does not like care. It's really interesting to see their reaction. I'm like, they're not easily impressed. We'll put it like that, or not impressed with me. One of the two. But without giving anything away, kind of how do you enter into the Reacher ecosystem? How do you come into this season?
It's sort of, the trailer kind of gives a good hint, so I can go with that. I come in, like any season of Reacher in any book, Reacher wanders into a new town, trouble finds him, and he takes care of it. And in this one, he stumbles onto this unfortunately violent experience, and he immediately meets me, and it is this thing that happens to my sister. You come to find out, she like commits suicide in front of him, and he is like, Jesus. And he comes to me, and my character's like, goes, I don't believe that's what happened to her, and I'm going to figure out what actually happened to her. And he looks at me. I'm this like small town cop, half his size, and I say, I'm going to go solve this thing. And he goes, you? And I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, what I just said. And then he's like, all right, bro, I'll help you. And then the two of us go off on this wildly epic adventure to go solve it. And we end up unraveling, I think, the craziest, most unexpected, like thrilling adventure story that the Reacherverse has told so far.
Oh, really?
So,
Well, you said you're
yeah,
half his size. Well, everybody's half of Alan Ritchson's size.
everybody is. He's
that
like
guy. That
40
guy's like that guy's.
costume.
Every time I look at him, like, you're a specimen, dude. You're not real. You were created in a lab. You're here to make all the rest of us look bad.
Yeah, four athletes get together. They like push their fists together. A little light comes out, and then like Transformers, they just like, it's like become one human man.
How tall is he, man? He seems like
he's so big that like there were days where like you're on set, you're hanging out and stuff, and like I'd be talking to somebody, and then he just not on purpose, he would just walk in and he's running lines or talking to somebody, and he would step kind of in front of you, and you don't realize it's like, if you're in a busy area, if someone kind of gets in your line of vision from someone you're talking to, you can just kind of lean a couple inches and you're right. Yeah. I remember I had to take like 3 steps to like find, like if he steps in your line of vision, he's like an actual house. You have to like take 3 steps around him to find who you were talking
to. Or a block.
So,
a whole block.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah,
but were you able to be pretty physical in this series?
I had to be. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like I'm a full blown unassuming action star in this thing. I'm not by no means is he good at it, but he I mean, boy, does he succeed as well. Without saying, yeah, I could say that thing. But yeah, I mean, dude, I had to do like the craziest running. It was the most physically demanding job I've for sure ever done, and the most physically demanding opportunity I've ever been given. And it was great. It was so fun.
Inner young guy's got to go, oh, this is kind of like, it was the first time you were able to kind of, have that kind of fun physical gig.
Oh, big time, man. Are you kidding? I mean, to be honest, after a little bit, I was like, I said to myself, I was like, oh, I thought this ship, I mean, I'm 41 years old now. I was 40 when I filmed this. I was like, I thought this ship had sailed. Like, if there was a part of me that thought, oh, maybe you'll be driving stunt cars and you drive, and in action sequences, like I gave that up 15 years ago. Uh-huh. So it was really, it was really cool for sure. This part of me kind of came back online that was like, look at that, man. Look at what you're doing today.
I think it's pretty badass, to be able to go.
Too, man.
Maybe there's a few more Advil at the end of the day, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's some creaky knees,
I have something I call my 7 questions. It's a little extra fun, a little, and I always talk food at least once, and it's just kind of what I do. But the first question, now you're in Ireland. I'm curious if there's anything going on there. But if you were to say, this is my favorite comfort food, what would that comfort food be? You have a crap day, it elevates you, or it's a great day, it's like, oh, it just kind of adds to it. What would that be for you?
It's definitely not Irish food. In Ireland, they like to put pig's blood and stuff. So there's no comfort food for me here in Ireland. I mean, I'm like a trash pig. I grew up eating McDonald's and microwavable meals. So my comfort food is pretty gross. They're not really actually. I eat clean, but I think, oh man, I'd have to say, I'll name a couple if that's all right. Can I name a couple? Is that right? I do like a full 3-course meal is what I do. If churros are available, I will never, ever turn down a churro. That is, I will absolutely, and I will go to great lengths to find them. Doritos, I will crush a party-sized bag of Doritos to define depression so extraordinarily well. And then I will eat any kind of cereal. That's probably my biggest comfort food.
You got the crunch going on. Yeah. Plano is the headquarters of Frito-Lay. So,
I know that. I know. It's wild. I know.
I remember I worked at a radio station in Dallas. First station I ever worked at, it was a station called Y95. Oh my God, it's going back 1990. And I was, whenever they do promotions, they go out all summer long. One of the Doritos was a sponsor. So they have these boxes and boxes and boxes of the little snack-sized Doritos. Into the summer, all the promotions are over with. They're not going to pools and whatever they're doing. Do you want some? Like, I brought home these 2 enormous boxes of Doritos. I couldn't stand Doritos after I went through those boxes. That was my only snack food.
You're talking about my dream in life. You just threw it away. You just threw it away like that. That is, it makes me sick.
What's that thing? I did like when they came out with the Dorito taco shell thing at Taco Bell. I thought that was kind of cool, but that was
Or I don't know. I thought, God, we've steeped to new levels as a society.
Yeah, it's either like we're just super serving the human species, or it's like we've just given up. I can't figure out which one it is.
Up. Honestly, that was a give up move. I think
it was a tasty one though. Do you have any restaurant memories from back in Texas, like Whataburger or anything like that?
No, not in the slightest bit. I was too young. Yeah.
I mean, I'm in Texas, so I got to ask that question. It's fair.
Now,
the next question I got for you, if you're going to talk stories, sit down for a whole afternoon. You're going to be having coffee with you and 3 people, living or not. Who would be at that table with you if you could have anyone? 3 people for the afternoon.
3 people for the afternoon. Oh man. I got like an unhealthy obsession with Jake Gyllenhaal. I just like, oh man, I want to marry that dude. And
that's another guy. Like, did you see him in the Roadhouse? Like,
I said, did you hear me? I want to marry him. Did I see Roadhouse? Of course I saw Roadhouse multiple times. For sure.
Every time I scroll through the thumbnail for that, it's just him hanging out with his shirt open. I'm like, you don't do that to us. You're not giving any of the rest of those guys a chance.
Shame us. I know he just shames everybody else in the world. I know. That's why I want to talk to him. I want to have a talk. Like, you're just spreading shame to the rest of us. You just like relax, guy. You don't need to look that. You don't need to be that good of an actor. Jesus, just relax. Yeah, Gyllenhaal for sure. Rilke, Rainer Maria Rilke, the poet, the author. I think I'd sit with that guy. And then I would one more. I don't know who I'd choose. Yeah, I don't know who I'd choose between Robin Williams and Richard Pryor. But if you let me, if you let them be.
Well, I say this. Okay, I'd choose Robin Williams because it would be more than one person at that table. Because
yes, that's true. Yeah, fair.
He would turn into all these different people. So the improvisation. Love Richard Pryor. Absolutely. Yeah. But Gyllenhaal. What was that movie he did with? Michael, he played a cop, End of Watch. I thought that was the best, after knowing, some cops, that was the best representation, just the physicality. You watch somebody that put in the work, like when somebody's done the homework.
Guy puts in the work. Yeah. No, he puts in the work. Yeah.
And too much in the gym. Again, he's making this.
He's too good. He makes me sick. Yeah, exactly.
Now, kind of related yet unrelated. Now, going back to when you were young, who was your very first celebrity crush when you were a young guy?
Oh man. Okay.
Again, because you were 13 years old with Jennifer Aniston by the pool, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was exposed to some things. Besides Jessica Rabbit from Roger Rabbit, who was a real human being. Let's see. I think actually legit, and this is a good story if you want a little side story. Left Eye from TLC was my love.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I got to meet her and I asked her and TLC to sign a CD for me, and they thought they looked at me. I'll never forget it. They were like, "You're so adorable," and I was like, "Am I?" And I played this up, and they signed the CD, and then they had really cool makeup on, and they gave me a kiss on the cheek, one of them, and it showed up like purple, and I went, "Oh, great!" And someone commented like, "Yeah, this purple thing," and I asked for more, and so the 3 of them gave me more. Yeah, and then I was like, "Come on, give me some more." It's telling how my adulthood turns out, but it's a weird comment to make. Anyway, oh man,
you're working the angles,
well, exactly. Yeah. It was a part of me that was like, would I like kisses all over my face? Absolutely. But TLC, Left Eye was my big child crush, and then Jennifer Love Hewitt became the she might have needed a restraining order against me with.
I was just watching last night with my daughter. Was it Heartbreakers? Where she and her mom would scam guys, and I was watching it. I'm like. I remember watching it with my daughter last night. I'm going, how did any guy not just be in love with her back in the day?
Yeah.
Jennifer Love
Yeah.
Hewitt.
I mean, it was impossible. Yeah. It was just, she was it. Mhm.
Now, the next question I got, if you're going to be chilling on an exotic island, somewhere tropical, you'd love being there. It's a really nice place to be, but no streaming. So you're going to be there a whole year. And if you want to listen to music, you got to bring one CD. And a movie, you got to bring one DVD. What would that CD and DVD be for that whole year on the island?
Oh, I think we put all the DVDs in a big heap in the ground somewhere in a landfill. Mark, I don't know if they're around anymore, but
I think they're making a slight comeback now.
Are they? Oh, that's great.
Well, because you got those people who with different streaming services have had who have paid for movies, and then the license got wonky or whatever, and then they no longer have this movie they paid for. So there's the millennials brought back vinyl records. I think my kids' generation's digging on the DVD thing, but
oh, nice, that's awesome. Oh, that's great to hear.
It's aspirational, hopefully,
Yeah. I don't. It's gonna be hard. Can I rattle off probably a couple?
Go for it.
Let's see. Music wise, In Rainbows, Radiohead, Eminem Show, Speaking in Tongues, Talking Heads, and I mean all week I was listening to the Buena Vista Social Club. That's like those are all the albums that I always go back to. And movies. Hook, Dumb and Dumber, Braveheart, and then I can never stop watching Men of Honor, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert Downey Jr. That's
okay, yeah,
all those, those movies. One of those, I don't know how to choose between one out of any of those things.
I'm kind of the same way. You take me you set me down at a restaurant, too big of a menu. I'm like, I'm gonna have to get a couple things.
Yeah, I give up. Yeah.
Now, the next question, if you were to say from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, if you say, okay, these are the ingredients for me for a perfect day, what would for that recipe for a perfect day, what would those ingredients be? The things that just like, if this and this and this happen, boom, perfect day.
I mean, nobody got cancer. Nobody went to jail. Like nobody I know that I care about. My reps call and they're like, "Hey, buddy, you're working again." That's nice. No, for real. I really, I'm a single dad. My one of my secret goals always my day when I'm with my daughters, if I can make her cackle, like not just giggle or laugh, but like belly laugh cackle. That's a goal of mine. And
I'm still trying to do that, but I'm just like I get side eye sometimes. Yeah.
It's almost all side eye. You got to persevere, man. It's a hard job. It is. It's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of self-effacement. You just got to push through. Yeah. Cause they're not going to,
but there is a joy when you know that they're intentionally trying to keep from laughing, and you just got to, rattle them a little bit.
Exactly.
And bust out laughing.
Yeah. No, it is. When they give you that hint, yeah, you gotta attack. It's attack mode. That's when you go. That's it. So it's ripe. So you got that. And then honestly, man, a good day is just to stay present. I think stay out of the future, stay out of worrying about the future, and stay where my feet are, and with the next right little thing I got to do today. That's a really nice day.
Yeah, so that's a good reminder, because I think nowadays it's so easy to be looking at the future. But I kind of envy you being across the pond there, because it's things are weird over here right now, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Weird, I tell you. Yeah. So now, if you weren't doing this, if somebody said, "Hey, Chris, acting, it's not going to be there for you anymore. It's just not, for whatever universe, acting's not available." What would be the next vocation? Something you think you would derive joy from, and that would feel right for you.
Let's see. I didn't realize you asked this question to everybody. Actually, I listened. I went through a couple episodes, and then I skipped through a couple. And Rob Corddry answered this one, and I just thought this was a part of your guys' conversations. And he said truck driver, and then he said, yeah, I think it's truck driver. I always thought truck driver. It's really romantic, and I thought for serial killers. I was like,
no, I dug that idea, because you're always meeting new people. You get different truck. Well, truck
for
stops.
predators.
Yeah,
You always meet new people and yeah. I don't know. It's like
predator.
truck driver.
It's kind of like
No,
either it's you get this person with wanderlust who just wants to see the country, and you got predators. So it's like truck stops are just an interesting
I don't
mishmash
mean
of
to love,
personalities.
exactly. I know there's wonderful truck drivers out there. Yeah, let me see. I have another vocation. I have a whole other thing that I've done for years and years and years. That's a rewarding part of my life. I have a small addiction treatment center that I started. So I've answered that question in reality outside of
Well, that's very cool. Is it I don't know if you can say, but where is it located?
Yeah, it's in Los Angeles. Yeah, and it's LA, and it helps people struggling with addiction and mental health, and yeah.
Yeah, that's quite admirable. I think it's especially if your life has been in any way touched by that, and you see, it's sort of it's a great way to pay it forward. By the way, it's a little side note here on the island. We've got a couple
lots of drug addicts. Sorry.
Well, here, not really. They actually have a couple treatment. We only got like 3,000 full-time residents, even though it's many, 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 many times more than that. And people, tourists. But I think Dr. Phil. They have Dr. Phil. I think he has like one or two like little like outpatient like recovery. They have a men's one and a women's one, I think. So it's like, cool. I didn't know what it was. My cousin was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, this place. Like I looked it up. I was like, oh, Dr. Phil's place. I think that's, so anyway, but that's very cool. There's
me and Dr. Phil, man.
There's a movie of Johnny Knoxville that came out in the last few years. I don't know if you saw it, where he goes.
I did actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
When he goes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I forgot the name of it now, but yeah, it's real fun. And
I thought he's I think a little underrated as an actor. I think he's a solid talent.
Me too.
But talking about somebody who needs Advil at this age, God, he must need a ton. From Jackass days.
Yeah, sure.
The last question I got for you: if you're to jump in that DeLorean and you could go back to when you were a young guy, 16 years old, let's say, and you've got a piece of advice for you to make that moment of your life a little bit better, or maybe get yourself on a little bit different track, what would that piece of advice be to 16-year-old Chris?
Oh man, okay, get myself on a different. I'd say, buddy, I know you're being ignored by all the girls, all of them. Don't you worry, guy. You're going to be fine. No, man, I'm going to tell that guy that you're going to make all the mistakes, like all of them. And choosing to meet like dysfunction and unhealthy things in life with health and the search for better ways to live is so worth it. It's really, really worth it, despite it being really difficult. And I'd also tell him that the entertainment industry sucks, that it's really hard. It's a sucky thing. And to find a way of life outside of just the pursuit of making a living in the entertainment industry is really important. And to find so that you can be a part of it, if you really ultimately want to, in a healthy way where your experience is proportionate, to the, to what's happening instead of what I find is disproportionate. If that's
probably mental health wise, it's probably got to be the hardest thing for a youngin, who's in the industry, especially if you're getting a lot of attention and you're working, is to really not understand the ebb and flow, for a career, it's a lot to ask of a kid. And that's why I marvel at folks who kind of move through the kid phase into the adult phase. And, I want to say unscathed, but I don't think anybody's ever unscathed by,
nobody's unscathed. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. Maybe there's like 4 people and they are strange. Yeah. I think like, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's just young people. I think it's everybody, I think it's you got to have a lot of resilience and some strange inner belief, and tether to, some part of you that lies outside of, the the opinions and thoughts of others,
Having kids, I think, helps keep you, once you get to that phase, keeps you grounded. It's like,
yeah, for sure.
it really calibrates what's important, what's not. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it's like, oh, this is silly. Why am I worried about this? I was covered in poop earlier today. I mean, I was like, that, my kid, my daughter, so, she bartends at there's this real big beach bar here. So when she's home from school, she bartends there. I'm like, and then, you get those social media memories that pop up, like a picture from 16 years ago. And I showed it to her. I was like, remember when you used to be that teeny tiny? I was like, I was changing your diapers at that point. She's like, yeah, I know, whatever,
And then she put more poop on you.
Yeah.
You said yesterday I had some poop on me. I was like, uh-oh, I think your kids are grown. Yeah.
For a 20-year-old, that could invoke some, that's going to open up a whole new can of worms. It's going to take some unraveling.
Mark, this is dad talk for sure. Listen to us.
Yeah, it's the diaper genie was a lifesaver. That's all I'll say.
For sure.
But no, what do you got coming up besides your new Reacher project? What else do you have queued up, or are you working on something else right now?
Yeah, the Reacher show, and then no, man, I am single and ready to mingle. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to work. I'm writing for Screen Ireland and a wonderful production company in Ireland, Eru Films. I've begun writing a pilot, a series that I created, about an American who immigrates to the Emerald Isle. To the Isle of Pork, so that's what I'm working on at the moment. While I make self tapes. And
last question: do you miss actually going in for auditions in LA, or you're like, nope, I'm just fine with my camera and my backdrop and all that stuff?
No, so much so. I miss it so much so. I mean, I think acting and and all of filmmaking it's a collaborative art form, and I think it's I always feel extraordinarily cut off from the thing that I always felt really comes alive in me when you're, amongst other people and trying to perform. So I miss it desperately, to be honest.
Well, you're there. You've got this new experiential fuel. You got new creative, like you're writing a screenplay. It's had you not been there, this might not have come together. Plus, you get to have a good daddy-daughter time, which I'm always a big fan of. So
me too.
But my friend, I appreciate you spending some time with me.
Me too.
You're over there, so it's evening time for you. So it's
yeah.
dinner.
And that's why I appreciate you accommodating the morning time and stuff. And it was just going to get late over here, and I figured it'd be a little easier.
Oh no, my pleasure, man.
But also too, like I hope today was good for I don't know. I know talking story and craft. I don't know how deep we got into the woods with in the weeds with that conversation, but I really loved your podcast. I listened to I know Olivia Taylor Dudley, and I listened to Rob Corddry and Thomas Jane.
By the way, it was the little thing on our screen. You have your name on there. It was funny. Rob put down Lorne Michaels. I thought
funny.
he was a blast. He was a blast.
Yeah, he was fun. Yeah.
But my friend, go give the little girl your daughter a hug for me, because it's like little people. It's like I miss that now. My kids, my oldest is teaching elementary now. Like I'm missing those. I'm at that phase now where I'm missing the little people, now they're like patting me on the head going, bless your heart, Dad.
Bless your heart, Dad. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to checking out Reacher. I enjoyed it. It's always a great ride, and I'm glad you get yourself a good a good opportunity to showcase your action skills. So
thanks, man. Yeah.
But hopefully we'll have a chance to catch up down the line, my friend.
I would hope so, yeah. And I really enjoyed today. So thank you so much. And really, I mean it, I'm very grateful you have me on here.
Man, the pleasure is all mine. Well, there you go, Chris Marquette. It was a great conversation. I mentioned it at the beginning. He's a cool dude. I really enjoyed the sit down. And you can check him out right now. Season 4 of Reacher is on Prime Video. And I'm still working my way through Season 3. Almost done, ready for Season 4. So I'm looking forward to seeing Chris do the action-adventure thing. Again, enjoy the conversation. Chris is a cool dude. Do me a favor, if you would, pop on over to your podcast app. Make sure to follow Story and Craft. Get notified every time a new episode comes out. Like the episode, leave a comment. It helps people to find the show, and I appreciate you doing that. And if you want to find out anything else about the show, past guests, past episodes, it is all at storyandcraftpod.com. I'm going to get on out of here. It's time for me to take the pup out. Ranger, our crazy golden retriever here, is bugging me to go outside. It's a sunny day, so going to head outside, take him for a walk. You go have a wonderful rest of your day, weekend. And as I always say, thank you so much for making what I got going on part of whatever you've got going on, because it does mean a lot to me. You take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time, right here on Story and Craft.
That's it for this episode of Story and Craft. Join Mark next week for more conversation, right here on Story and Craft. Story and Craft is a presentation of Mark Preston Productions, LLC. Executive producer is Mark Preston. Associate producer is Zachary Holden. Please rate and review Story and Craft on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. You can subscribe to show updates and stay in the know. Just head to storyandcraftpod.com and sign up for the newsletter. I'm Emma Dillon. See you next time, and remember, keep telling your story.